People have wondered who I really am. Portrayal of me, I'm a bad guy. But no one really knows me.
We all know Netflix has a knack for giving us the best binge-worthy shows and docs. But when it comes to WWE royalty Stephanie McMahon, they're keeping a few secrets under wraps. Sure, Netflix isn't exactly a shady secret keeper, but they're definitely not showing you the full story about this powerhouse. After all, how much do we actually see about her early days in the WWE or the real drama behind her family's empire? From her wild and sometimes cringeworthy storylines in the ring to her game-changing business moves behind the scenes, we're pulling back the curtain. Did you know she's a driving force behind some of WWE's biggest deals, or how she helped revolutionize the women's division? Plus, there's some major McMahon family drama that's just as intense as a championship match. So grab your popcorn, because we're about to get into the juicy stuff Netflix doesn't want you to know about WWE's queen. Ready to dive in? Let's go! Stephanie's secrets. Like it or not, being in the public eye means people are going to talk. They'll make assumptions, jump to conclusions, and sometimes just completely make stuff up. It's all part of the deal, and no one is immune. Not even WWE's very own Stephanie McMahon. From the moment she first appeared on our screens, her personal life, especially her romantic connections, became fair game for gossip. Who she's dating, who she's not, nothing was off limits. It's unfair, but it's one of those things that just comes with being a public figure, especially when your last name is McMahon. And while it's easy to get caught up in all the rumors, the truth behind Stephanie's life is often way more interesting than any made-up stories you might hear. Before the iconic McMahon-Helmsley era kicked off, Stephanie McMahon's on-screen boyfriend was none other than Andrew "Test" Martin. Fans will remember the big moment when their wedding plans on Raw were rudely interrupted by Triple H, who revealed a drive-through wedding in Las Vegas with Stephanie, leaving poor Test in the dust. The chemistry between Test and Stephanie was so believable on TV that fans began to wonder if there was something more going on behind the scenes. But here's the real tea. While all of this was playing out on screen, Stephanie had already started dating Triple H in real life. So, while fans were caught up in the TV love triangle, the lines between what was scripted and what was real were super blurry. To make things even spicier, there was the added drama of whether or not Triple H was still dating Chyna when he and Stephanie got together. With all that real-life and on-screen drama swirling around, the Test Stephanie Triple H storyline became one of those classic wrestling moments where reality and fiction collided in the juiciest way possible. One of the wildest rumors that's been floating around WWE for years is that a young Stephanie McMahon once dated the legendary Macho Man, Randy Savage. Yep, you read that right. If you do the math, Stephanie was born in 1976, which means she would have turned 18 in 1994, the same year Savage left WWE for good. That little coincidence has been more than enough to keep this rumor alive and thriving over the years. Now, if you dig a little deeper, it really seems like just that, a rumor. There's no solid proof, and it's mostly been chalked up to an urban legend in the wrestling world. But some, like Dutch Mantell, have added fuel to the fire. On his Storytime podcast, Mantell went so far as to say that this rumor was more or less accepted as fact by people in the business. So, while it's probably nothing more than speculation, this juicy tidbit has been pushed under the rug by Netflix. Mantell talked about it and said, "It was repeated over and over and over again. I think Randy may have crossed the equator, may have dallied a bit with Stephanie. Can I say it was true? No, I can't say it was true. You can call it a rumor, but I've always heard that story." Netflix has been hiding the fact that this wrestling superstar may never make it back to television. In May 2022, Stephanie McMahon Levesque dropped some unexpected news on her X, formerly Twitter account, announcing that she was stepping back from most of her WWE responsibilities. She called WWE her lifelong legacy, but explained that she needed to take some time to focus on her family. At first glance, it totally made sense, especially since just a year before, her husband Triple H had a serious health scare and she almost lost him. Taking time off to be with her family during such a tough time seemed like a no-brainer. So I was nosediving and sort of at the 1 yard line of where you don't want to be really for your family and your future. We have 3 young girls. You know, suddenly I come home, I'm a little bit sick, and their dad who's strong is always suddenly in the hospital. There's moments in there when being placed under anesthesia, you think, is this it? Do you wake up from this? That's tough to swallow and makes you think. However, when you look back at everything that unfolded soon after, it's easy to start asking questions. With Vince McMahon's controversies and eventual resignation shaking up WWE not long after Stephanie's announcement, it all feels a bit more complex than just taking a family break. Was there more to her decision to step away than we initially thought? While Stephanie's move seemed like the right choice at the time, given her husband's near-death experience and the needs of her family, the timing has definitely raised some eyebrows in hindsight. Whether it was purely for family or part of something bigger, it left a lot of WWE fans curious about what was really going on behind the scenes. Allegations against Vince McMahon. In late January 2024, the WWE Universe was rocked by some seriously explosive news. Former WWE employee Janelle Grant dropped a bombshell lawsuit naming Vince McMahon, former WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis, and WWE itself as defendants. The suit was packed with jaw-dropping allegations of sexual assault and trafficking against McMahon and Laurinaitis during Grant's time with the company. Of course, McMahon and Laurinaitis have both denied these allegations, but that hasn't stopped the wrestling world from buzzing with shock and outrage. The lawsuit has stirred up a storm across the industry, with former WWE performers and insiders weighing in, sharing their thoughts and reactions. Given Vince McMahon's legendary status and long-standing influence over WWE, the gravity of these accusations is enough to make anyone's head spin. The wrestling world, known for its dramatic storylines, is now facing a real-life drama that feels straight out of a soap opera. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Stephanie McMahon, who's been at the center of WWE's spotlight, has remained silent about the whole ordeal. With everything that's been unfolding, it's impossible to say what's going through her mind or how she's dealing with this mess. It's one of those situations where you really wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, let alone someone who's been so integral to WWE. Imagine being in Stephanie's shoes right now. Her family is at the center of a scandal that's shaking the wrestling world to its core. While the details of her reaction remain a mystery, the fact that she hasn't commented on the lawsuit only adds to the speculation and drama. It's clear that this is a tough and tumultuous time, not just for Stephanie, but for everyone caught up in this whirlwind of accusations and legal battles. As the wrestling community continues to digest the news and share their opinions, the silence from Stephanie speaks volumes. And while the rest of us watch from the sidelines, trying to piece together the drama, it's worth remembering that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than meets the eye. So, as the saga unfolds and the wrestling world braces itself for whatever comes next, one thing's for sure. This situation is shaping up to be one of the most intense chapters in WWE's history. And with Stephanie McMahon at the center of it all, we can only wait and watch as the drama continues to unfold. One of his employees summed up the situation perfectly and said, "The name McMahon is going to be right there with Chris Benoit in the minds of a lot of people. It'll be a name not to be mentioned. These are people that I've met and have worked with, and I'm seeing how they've treated others, and they're having to bear this as well. There are so many people with WWE that are working hard every day and are good family people, honest people that contribute to society and help others. I mean, really good people that I know there personally, and they're affected by this." The McMahon family lawsuit. Former WWE legend Tammy Sytch recently stirred the pot even further with some wild claims. Vince may be facing some pretty heavy allegations from former WWE employee Janelle Grant, who's accused him of emotional abuse and even Janelle Grant has made some pretty serious claims against Vince McMahon, saying that he promised her career advancement, but then exploited her and trafficked her to other men within WWE. She's taken this to the next level by filing a lawsuit against Vince in a Connecticut federal court. According to her report, Vince and another WWE executive allegedly assaulted her at WWE headquarters back in 2021. The lawsuit also includes some explicit text messages that are said to have been sent by Vince himself. Adding another twist to the drama, Tammy Sytch threw in her 2 cents, suggesting that Janelle Grant looked a lot like Vince's daughter, Stephanie McMahon, and hinted at some disturbing implications. However, Tammy also made it clear that Vince never did anything inappropriate with her personally. He is looking at federal charges now, so who knows what's going to happen with that. I was floored. That dirty old man laughs. He is almost 80. I am surprised he can still get it up at 80. Never once was he out of line with me. You know what I do find weird about this girl who's in the news now? Doesn't she look a hell of a lot like his daughter Stephanie? There are some things from Stephanie's past so dramatic and bizarre that even Netflix is finding it hard to cover them up, such as the incest storyline that left everyone shocked. Before Tammy Sitch stirred the pot with her shocking accusations about Vince McMahon possibly having incestuous feelings towards his daughter Stephanie, there was already some jaw-dropping drama involving them. Back in 2005, when Stephanie was pregnant with her first child, Vince had a wild idea for a WWE storyline that would have had fans reeling. He wanted to have a storyline where he would reveal himself as the father of Stephanie's baby on TV. That's right, Vince was ready to push some seriously controversial content. Stephanie, however, wasn't having any of it. She shot down the idea immediately, making it clear she had no interest in airing such a dramatic twist. Vince, never one to back down easily, tried to pivot. He suggested that instead, Stephanie should reveal that Shane, her brother, was the father of the baby. Talk about family drama. But once again, Stephanie nixed the idea, leaving Vince with no choice but to drop the whole storyline. Stephanie McMahon talked about how she found the idea so gross that it could not be entertained on TV. Hence, she refused to go ahead with the pitch. She then revealed that McMahon suggested that Stephanie's brother Shane could be revealed as the father, if not Vince. My dad did approach me about wanting to be the father of my baby in a storyline for TV, which again, only the second time I've ever actually said no to him for something he wanted to do. That one was just a little too gross, actually. It's completely disgusting. I don't find the entertainment value in it at all. And he is actually my father, so how could I even play that out? Vince McMahon's idea for an incest storyline was so outlandish, it had the power to make even the most battle-hardened wrestling veterans cringe. In a turn of events that only adds to the drama, Shane McMahon weighed in on this jaw-dropping proposal during a 2018 episode of Opie Radio, revealing just how far-reaching the family drama extended. But the wild ride doesn't stop there. Vince McMahon, ever the showman, once turned an embarrassing mishap into a legendary moment. Picture this. Vince, having had an accident, still managed to cut a promo with unparalleled charisma. His commitment to the craft was so fierce that not even a wardrobe malfunction could derail his determination to deliver a knockout performance. Well, my sister is hot. I don't think I would have really minded that. Needless to say, Shane McMahon's sarcastic response goes to show that he is familiar with the bizarre ideas that come from Vince McMahon for TV. So, before any wild accusations or rumors about Vince's feelings towards Stephanie, the McMahon family was already at the center of some seriously outrageous storyline pitches. The fact that Vince even considered such a storyline shows just how far he's willing to go for shock value. And Stephanie's firm refusal just adds another layer to their complicated family dynamics. On a recent episode of the Wrestling Outlaws on Sportskeeda, Russo joined Dr. Chris Featherstone and former WWE star EC3 to spill the tea about his time working with the McMahon family. Russo, known for his behind-the-scenes work in wrestling, shared some fascinating insights from his intense and often tumultuous stint with WWE. He was deeply involved with the McMahons during his time there, helping shape storylines and contribute to some of WWE's most memorable moments. However, his time with WWE wasn't without its drama. Russo eventually made the switch to WCW, taking a more lucrative job that offered him a bigger paycheck. This move was a big deal at the time and left WWE fans buzzing. Linda, and EC3 will tell you this, bro, the nicest person in the freaking world. There were two sides to the McMahon family. There was the angelic side with Linda and Shane, and then you had the devils with Stephanie and Vince. At the recent Republican National Convention, Linda McMahon took a moment to chat with Going Ringside, and naturally, the spotlight turned to the McMahon clan. It's been a roller coaster of a year for the family, with headlines exploding and drama unfolding at every turn. The center of the storm, a high-profile lawsuit filed by former WWE employee Janelle Grant, which has set the wrestling world ablaze. This lawsuit isn't just making waves, it's creating a full-blown tsunami of controversy. The accusations leveled against Vince McMahon and WWE are serious and sensational, touching on allegations of. The charges are as shocking as they are scandalous, throwing the McMahon name into a whirlwind of legal and media frenzy. Naturally, everyone's been wondering how the family is holding up through all this. While Linda didn't dive into every detail, she touched on the well-being of the McMahons amidst the ongoing legal drama. It's no surprise that this kind of news has rocked the wrestling world, especially considering how iconic the McMahon name is within WWE. We're all doing great, thank you. Doing great, thank you. In the WWE of today, where things are family-friendly and PG-rated, you'd never see a moment like this. But rewind to the summer of 2003, and the scene was a lot wilder. Back then, John Cena was still riding the wave of his rapping gimmick on SmackDown, and he was really starting to catch fire with the fans. His charismatic, cheeky persona made him a hit, and he wasn't shy about making risque jokes in the ring. On the July 23, 2003 edition of SmackDown, Cena was in the spotlight as he took to the ring to drop a rap about then SmackDown GM Stephanie McMahon. As part of his routine, Cena decided to add a bit of edgy humor to the mix. In a moment that would raise eyebrows today, he slapped Stephanie on the backside during his rap. Given the show's PG rating nowadays, that kind of behavior would be a no-go, especially with the kids watching. But back then, it was all part of the fun and games, with Cena's antics adding to his growing popularity. "You had me standing at attention. I can't wait to see you catfight." He stared at her breasts. She tilted his head up. "Sorry I lost my concentration. I was looking at your targets. At Vengeance, hopefully I find out if the curtains match the carpets." Referring to a woman's carpet is a reference. He even had a joke. "There's something about you that makes me keep in touch with myself." Then he offered her $20 to rip off Sable's top. "Sable's just a hoe. You're a diva with class. Nobody's watching us, Steph. Why don't you let me smack that expletive?" Stephanie's dangerous analogy. The September 11, 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City were a dark day etched into history, with nearly 3,000 lives tragically lost as planes crashed into the Twin Towers and other planes were hijacked. WWE had been scheduled to tape SmackDown on that fateful day, but in light of the disaster, they made the decision to postpone it by 2 days. On September 13, 2001, they aired a live SmackDown that addressed the events with a somber tone. As the show went on, WWE stars shared their thoughts and reflections on the tragedy. Stephanie McMahon, taking the mic to speak on the incident, made a statement that quickly attracted negative attention. Her comments, which were intended to offer comfort and solidarity, ended up stirring controversy and criticism instead. In a time of raw emotions and national mourning, her words were seen as poorly timed and out of touch, adding to the intense scrutiny the show was under. "A few years ago, some people tried to destroy my family. They attacked my father's reputation, they attacked my mother's reputation, and they attacked the World Wrestling Federation. They tried to rip us apart, but all they did was make my family stronger." And that's exactly how America feels right now. Because on Tuesday, America was attacked. Because America is a united nation, and together we stand strong. I am incredibly proud to be an American citizen, and I will stand up for my rights and my freedom. Stephanie McMahon's comparison during her speech was nothing short of jaw-dropping. Amid the solemn aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, which claimed nearly 3,000 innocent lives, Stephanie drew an alarming parallel to her father Vince McMahon's steroid trial. While the nation was reeling from a tragedy of epic proportions, Stephanie made a bewildering analogy, equating the devastating impact of the terrorist attacks with the controversies surrounding her dad's alleged steroid distribution to wrestlers. It was a moment that left many wrestling fans and critics scratching their heads. The gravity of a national tragedy being likened to the legal woes of a pro wrestling executive was as misplaced as it was shocking. In the midst of mourning a nation, comparing the fallout from a criminal investigation with the immense loss of life was not only tone deaf, but also highlighted a troubling disconnect. Stephanie and Chyna's feud. If you're thinking of someone who absolutely deserves a spot in WWE's Hall of Fame but might never get one, Chyna's name should definitely pop up. Chyna, who was Triple H's ex-girlfriend, was dating him during a period when he was involved in a high-profile storyline romance with Stephanie McMahon. The drama didn't end there. Triple H actually cheated on Chyna with Stephanie. In a 2011 interview, Chyna opened up about how she discovered Hunter and Stephanie's relationship back in 2001. By then, Chyna had already been with Hunter for several years. It was a real punch to the gut for her, especially given all the behind-the-scenes tension and betrayal. Chyna was nothing short of a wrestling trailblazer, shattering norms and blazing a path for women in the sport. Her larger-than-life presence and groundbreaking achievements should have guaranteed her a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. But, alas, there's more to this saga than meets the eye. The tangled web of her personal history with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon has added layers of drama that rival any wrestling storyline. Imagine this: Chyna, the ultimate game changer, was not only revolutionizing the ring, but also caught up in a whirlwind of backstage drama involving her then-partner Triple H and his subsequent relationship with Stephanie McMahon. This real-life soap opera, filled with heartbreak and betrayal, seems to have cast a long shadow over Chyna's Hall of Fame prospects. Stephanie herself admitted that the drama played a role, acknowledging the complex dynamics at play. It's a saga that feels like it could be lifted straight from the script of a high-stakes wrestling plot, with every twist and turn adding to the legend of Chyna. Despite her indelible mark on the industry, Chyna is still on the outside looking in, waiting for the recognition she so richly deserves. He was in love with her at the time. I thought she was beautiful. By the time I came around, things weren't so good as I understand it. There's much more detail. At the time we started our on-screen storyline, we hit it off. I was dating somebody else at the time too who thought I had the hots for Triple H, but I didn't know it. We have to rehearse, we're live, and have such a passion for the business. It just worked. So, who is Stephanie McMahon really? Despite the WWE's flair for drama, there's a lot more to her than what's often portrayed on screen. People see her as the villain or the privileged heiress, but that's only scratching the surface. As we peel back the layers of Stephanie McMahon's life and career, it's clear there's much more to her story than what Netflix or any other platform might reveal. The truth is often more intriguing than fiction, and Stephanie's story is a proof of that belief. That's it from our side for today, folks. We'll be back with more later. If you liked the video, click the link on your screen to watch similar ones.